Hi, my name is Bruce Bolger, and I'm founder of the Enterprise Engagement Alliance, and we're a 16-year-old organization dedicated to helping companies or any organization improve performance through a strategic and systematic approach to engaging all stakeholders, our customers, employees, supply chain partners, communities, distribution partners. And it's all about taking a strategic and systematic approach rather than the ad hoc approach we do today. And that requires a mastery of different types of disciplines: communications, learning, culture, assessment, measurement. And that also, part of communications, is events. And we believe that events are so powerful in terms of engaging people that we've created a whole new channel on the Enterprise Engagement Alliance channel. And Jackie Basco, CEO and founder of Basco Talent and the Las Vegas Speakers Bureau, helped us come up with this concept. And Darlene, you were early in on it as well. So that's one of the reasons we have Darlene Lyons. She's Executive Vice President of T3 Events Group. She's based not too far from Sacramento. And she's got a lot of experience, both as an entrepreneur in the industry, but also as somebody who's been planning events. And we're going to really get into the meat of how to make events more meaningful. And our sponsor today is Pulse Experiential Travel. They're one of the world's leading providers of bucket list experiential travel programs for small groups and individuals. Then moving on, we do always like to thank all of our customers that support our efforts. And finally, please remember that the Enterprise Engagement Alliance is your stakeholder management how-to organization. We give away a lot of free information, how-to information. This show will be an article that we're going to feature in our library for years to come. So we're all about sharing information. If you need something, just give us a call. So hopefully I'm stopping the share, and nice to see you, Darlene, and
Thank you.
Jackie as well.
Good
So
morning.
Darlene, I do want to start with you. Please give us a quick overview of your company, T3, and how you would define your purpose, goals, and objectives.
Okay. T360 is a business event management company, and we are full service. And our purpose is to create engaging, memorable events for our clients that they can measure, they can evaluate and measure their ROI. So we're big on tracking and feedback from the clients.
Well, that's going to be, you've already led me to a question right away, a little bit off. I have noticed in the meetings business a singular lack of ROI tracking, that in many times what they track is a participant satisfaction. And in many cases, if I'm an employee and I've been sent to Las Vegas for a trip, I'm going to sound pretty, obnoxious if I complain too much. So to me, it seems much more important to track ROI. What kinds of ROI can you track, or are you recommending that clients track?
Well, many of our clients, because we do a lot of business events, track not recruiting, retention, sales, and customer satisfaction. So there's a lot of different things that they can achieve from one event, including education. So, we go through that with them when we first do their analysis on what is it that they're trying to achieve, and then we make suggestions because there's a lot of other things that they can get and gauge from a successful event for sure.
So, Jackie, this is interesting that we've done all these programs, and this is the first person that's talked about ROI tracking. Let me ask you this. How many of I have noticed that a lot of times there's no ROI tracking because the client, frankly, doesn't want it. They don't want to have to worry about that. They've got a $2
Well, they
million
don't know how
budget.
to do it. They don't know
Right.
how to, and that's why most of them, first of all, they don't know it's possible. And second of all, they don't know how or at what level to measure. And so we encourage them when planning the event to plan to measure, to create that custom experience and to get feedback. And that's how you measure the personal feedback from the attendee, and then you measure your numbers. So how many people did you retain because you gave them further education last year? How much of your software is being used that you invested $500,000 in? Those kind of things. You measure those at the event. But again, you plan for that in the beginning, you measure it, and then you recap at the end and look at the data. And that really helps you spend your money wisely and create an engaging customer experience.
Now, I don't see, honestly, I follow this industry. We're one of the leading trade publications in the MICE, meetings and incentive travel business. I don't hear, we talk about measurement all the time. Is it really prevalent to to push measurement. You know, we've been a big promoter of a guy named Jack Phillips. He's Jack and Patty Phillips, who really started doing measurement and engagement 30 years ago, and I think they're doing great work. But I don't think measurement has really taken off. Do you think, do you see growing demand for serious measurement in the
I
mice market?
absolutely do. I absolutely do. See, there is a growing demand for it. Today's business leaders want information. They can't make good decisions without the data. You can't have the data if you're not tracking it and measuring it. So I absolutely see that demand increasing, and we encourage it with every event consultation. We ask them what their goals are from the event and suggest ways to measure it
Well,
for
that
sure.
is terrific. I didn't expect the meeting to start with this because to me, that is the most important thing of all. ROI, folks. Value. How did you create value with this event? And doesn't that start with first figuring out what your purpose, goals, and objectives are of the event? Starting, then you can really set your measurement. Before we leave ROI to get to some more, what is the basic advice you give on setting up ROI measurement? Just in a
Well,
nutshell.
you should do a mastermind with your leadership and figure out what are the results that aren't just monetary, because retention, you may not track those dollars until next year. So you want to go through and say, what are the things that we would consider a win? So that's what I would do, and make that list. And that's what we encourage our clients to do. Make that list of what is a win, because it's not just dollars. It's recruiting, it's retention, could be merchandise sales. That the effect of that is branding. So maybe you don't make a lot of money on the merchandise, but you get a huge amount of branding if you sell 4,000 t-shirts at your event. So things like that.
And let me ask you this, do you find clients are sometimes push back, oh, we don't need to do that? Or is there a general receptivity to it now?
We do. Some people don't want to be transparent. They want to just put on the event and spend whatever it takes. They don't want a budget, and they don't want to be accountable to a budget. That's okay. We have those clients too. But most growing organizations, especially the publicly traded ones, they have to be accountable. So
Well, that's great. And folks, this is a really interesting point. So let me now get back to the actual how the format of events has changed as a result of COVID. So we've now talked about measurement. Now, by the way, in terms of measurement, that wasn't driven by COVID, right? That's really being driven by
that's
broader.
just good business sense. It is. It's just good business sense. People are understanding the real return on events. It's not just a party anymore. It's not just a sales rally anymore. There's a lot more that can be had of that same dollar, for sure.
Great. And if you're not intentional about it, you won't, but
Correct.
guarantee.
Yes.
So now getting, one of the things that prompted this show with Jackie and I was actually a show we did with Andrea Doyle of Skift Meetings, in which it really became apparent, Darlene, that the old format of doing, to me, of doing, keynotes and panel discussions was really in danger because I can do all, well, look at this, we're having a great panel discussion here. Our shows, we have 80 YouTube shows that I will tell you right now, most of them are as good as I see in most conferences. We get great people and they like you or donate their time. So don't you want to do in a meeting, as Andrea Doyle likes to say, what you cannot do on a Zoom? Isn't
Absolutely.
so, but let me ask you this. I've been looking at a lot of the event formats since COVID, and I am stunned that they all seem, especially more so even in the association market. I would think in the meetings and incentive travel business, they would be breaking the mold, right? Innovators, but nope, it's right back. Am I wrong? Or is there a
No, you're
tremendous
right.
return to, go
In
ahead.
my opinion, the old days of pushing out information and just hoping you make the people happy, those are dead and gone. You have got to do, we're moving towards shorter sessions, personal experiences in every possible way, choices. Your clients want choices. They want to give you feedback on those choices. And that is all critical to growing your events and getting your highest return. No question about it.
Well, let's delve into that because it seems to me a lot of times these events are really sort of all about the company and its sponsors rather than about the attendees. Isn't that like, in other words, so who are the panelists? Well, the panelists are our big donors, or they're on the board, or they're
Exactly.
people, they're a big customer or whatever, right? They're not really picked for how they're going to convey the company. They're really picked to tell the stories company. What are you recommending to companies to really shake it up? Or another example, like the old stories, you got a keynote speaker and she comes up and she dazzles everybody and then she walks off and marches off, or maybe she signs some books. Wait a minute, I've seen that woman my entire life. You've got this amazing speaker here. I heard her, but I could have done that on YouTube. What can we do to really shake it up?
Well, the two biggest requests that we see in our data coming back right now, particularly with our large events, the two biggest requests are peer-to-peer training of any kind. So if Jackie is the master booking agent, people that do the same thing she does, they want to hear from her. They don't want me telling them how to book those people. They want to know what she does. That's the number one request. For years, I did a training with one of the largest trade associations in the United States, and that was always the number one request was peer-to-peer training. And number two is they want networking. And that is, again, what you can't get at Zoom. They want to see each other, they want to touch each other, and they want to look you in the eyes and say, Jackie, I have a problem. How can you help me solve it? And they want shorter sessions. They want interaction. They want to engage. Today's public, they are used to getting what they want. They're used to having choices, and they will demand it. And the sooner you
And
give it to them, the better your events, the more success that you will have by far.
And let me ask you this. When you look at the landscape of how meeting formats have changed since COVID, do you think that they have changed commensurate with where the attendee is going in terms of those desires?
No, like you said, there's still that old mold that they're operating in, and the people that are innovating and changing are getting better attention, or better attendance and better reattendance, so better retention by the numbers are clear. Numbers are clear.
And it seems to me the way to do that in every organization, getting back to your point about the purpose and goals and objectives of that, or what do you want to get out of it? Then the next question should be, okay, or I'm asking you, shouldn't the next question be, okay, how can I involve the attendees in that? How can I make them, how can I empower them to drive that process? And I think, look, by the way, anyone who's in the speaking business loves it, right? They love to get up there, but that really, look, if you're world famous or you're really funny or a great comedian, everybody's happy to see that guy or lady, right?
Yes.
But in terms of achieving the organization's objectives, and this is something, Jackie, I want you to weigh in, don't we have to use talent in a different way than we did before?
Absolutely. Yesterday, like we were talking to Ryan Estes, it's so important. He was talking about how there was a group of people, he was speaking for a camping group. So he actually went camping so he could become part of that team. He experienced something about the company and investigating the company, not just the newest products or your website, but really feeling it and touching it is so important because you're speaking to people that are selling it every single day and living it every day. So like Darlene was saying, you have to be able to touch them. And I've been blessed to work with Darlene on many events, and everything that we've done has really been out of the box. And the speakers have been absolutely wonderful. Even Shaquille O'Neal touched personal. He didn't just talk, he talked about business and he talked about personal and how you get there and how, when you're up and when you're down. And I loved it. And they left the audience feeling important. They left the audience leaving a week later, maybe a month later, with something they took home. And it's important, like she was saying, the ROI, what is your return on investment? Knowledge. To me, knowledge, experience, and something you can use in your life every day in business.
Well, and
Agreed.
then so Darlene, then what would be your dream scenario now for formats? If you kind of had to and I know every event is different, it depends upon what their purpose, goals, and objectives are. But if you had to say how much time audio, the old rule I think was pretty much, it was 20% audio, auditorium, And then, obviously, 20%, 30%, networking and lunch, and then the remainder being, panel discussions, right? If you were to shake it up, if you were to recommend how to kind of reshake it, how much time would you denote to, would you dedicate to outputting? I call speaking and panels outputting versus collaboration, networking, shared experience. How would you change that, overall schedule in your view?
Well, the 80-20 rule, the 80% interactive networking, forcing them to engage is extremely powerful and in my opinion should not be replaced. That 20% you can use for anything else. And it could be pushing it out in the auditorium, hands-on training, things where where you're pushing the information out. So that's my own professional, personal opinion is that
Hold on. This is a headline. Hold on. Wait a minute. You're telling me that you're recommending that companies now at their events dedicate 80% of the time to opportunities for people to interact, however you want that to be.
yes,
Dining.
and have personal choices. So that what I mean by engaging is that they personally get to choose what breakout session, what mastermind, what, art program, whatever it is that you're offering them, that they get choices. They aren't forced into a specific breakout or a specific track. They have choices. If I want to go to a master's class and I'm at a medium level of whatever it is, computer science or whatever it is, I should be able to do that. It may not be right for me, but I still have that choice, have the feedback and the personal choice. So it could be any experience there, but I think that empowers them and gives you a high level of satisfaction for sure.
And then it would seem to me that even going further, instead of it being a standard breakout with the facilitator talking all the
Right.
time, again, if your goal is to train, that's something else. If there's a new law and you have to explain what the new law is, okay, you're going to have to do that, right? But if it's in a motivational event, right, where our goal is to inspire people, isn't it better to use that breakout for some sort of exercise related to the purpose, goals, and objectives of the meeting so people can meet each other in that room? And it seems to
Absolutely.
me, isn't it important for them to talk to one another?
Absolutely. So give you an example. We do an entrepreneur event. And for years, the people who actually own the event would push the information out. And what we do instead now, we've added some formats. Jackie's helped us on this. We do some kind of celebrity or entertainer and do fun, and then we tack onto that. So let's say it's Magic Johnson talks about the success in business. Then we bring up 6 or 8 or 10 people that have 1 minute to tell us their best business advice in that same vein. And then we break them in 10 minutes later, they go sit at tables and the people can go ask them specific questions. So you get the entertainment, you get the wow factor, you get people that are successful in the business, and then you have access to them. It's powerful, powerful.
And isn't that more powerful than a book signing, honestly?
By far, by far.
Uh,
I'll tell you, the entertainers, most of the celebrities would prefer that. They truly want to give back and be authentic. Not all, but most.
and so, Jackie, let me ask you this. Are you seeing greater receptivity now, in the industry to these more interactive approaches? Do you find that even the celebrity speakers are willing to get a little bit more intimate with the group rather than the old jump on the stage and then jump out?
Absolutely. I'm finding that more celebrities want to do Q&A. They want to be up close and personal with your moderator. They want to be able to answer questions in the audience. They want to be able to give back. Darlene and I recently hired Jade Simmons, and she came out, she gave a wonderful keynote, and then she performed a piano concert during her keynote. And so they had a little bit of edutainment, and it was very, very, a lot of knowledge, a lot of spiritual. It felt good. I know a lot of people are moving toward the spiritual. Like before hiring a speaker, they've been hiring people to do a sound bowl, where they're doing a little bit of like a yoga sound bowl to release all their stress from their everyday life before they even go to their meeting in the morning. So you've given them something, you've de-stressed them before they even got there. People want that now. They don't want to be aggravated. They want to be encouraged.
Agreed.
So now we've really covered on the measurement thing. Wow, you got right into that. A woman after my own, or a person after my own heart here. Let's get into. I think we've covered the formats. What do you? One other thing though. Seems to me that another great format that's underutilized is the town hall type of approach. You know, in fact, when you look at the traditional conference centers, they're all auditorium. It seems to me, and the real estate people will hate me here, I think they should blow those things up, right? In a way, because to me, that's all about outputting, outputting. Now, it's one thing if I'm going to a concert, sure, you got to have an auditorium, but you know, don't you really? But by the way, even in a concert, right? Where would you rather go to a concert? In a great big auditorium or see, you know, your favorite person in a small club, right? So I think that's the same with celebrities, nor any expert speaker. But what do you think about fishbowl or town hall formats where people can be much more involved? Is that something we can be using more of?
Absolutely. And I think you can, you know, if you get a big celebrity, and again, Jackie and I have done this before, you can do the big auditorium and then you do a smaller town hall and you make it a real special experience. So you certainly can do that. One of the things that we encourage our clients to do, if they are going to have a large audience, let's just say they've got 6,000 people in the audience, we encourage them to allow the people to interact both through technology and, you know, by possibly going up to the microphone. And we preset all that up so that that we time limit it and everything else, but it gives engagement, it gives feedback, you know, the technology they can use to get the feedback, and they get to hear from their peers. So we try to accomplish all those things, no matter how small or large the crowd is.
Hear from their peers. You know, I love that because so many times I've been to a conference where there are more experts in the audience than there are on the stage. And you can even see them there sitting in frustration.
Who wants to hear the president of the company talk about, you know, how great the company is? Not that that's a bad thing, but for an hour and a half, when he can go up for 15 minutes, and then you can hear from the people who actually achieved the awards and sold record numbers of whatever it is that you're selling, that has higher value from an attendee experience, without question.
So now let's get a little bit more personal here about, first off, you've been around for a couple of years, you've seen a few things. What advice, you know, if you were really speaking candidly with us, you know, I like to give the example oftentimes, you know, you're sitting in for, you got upgraded, you're sitting in first class and you're sitting next to the CEO. And, you know, she says, you know, we're spending a lot of money on meetings every year, you know. Sometimes I just wonder whether this is a fixed cost. What advice would you give me to really make sure that I'm getting a lot out of this budget? So what sort of a basic advice do you give to a CEO who doesn't necessarily know your business?
It's the same basic advice I would give to anybody in business, and that is to pay for good advice. So whether that's, if you've got a team and you're not sure they're doing a good job, pay a consultant to come in. If you don't have a team and your CMO has been tasked with producing the event, hire a third-party planner. You'll get the measurement that you're looking for. You'll get either get confirmation that your dollars are being invested well, or you'll get advice on how to better invest them. It's very simple. Always pay for good advice.
And then in terms of, I guess the next piece of advice based on what you said before is to make sure you're really clear on your purpose, goals, and objectives. What are you trying to accomplish?
Exactly.
And I'm taking this from what you said, and then what are the metrics that you're going to use, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So let's get a little bit more personal now. And let's get on the people side. You're in a crazy business. So let's say put your mentor hat on now, and I'm a young person getting into the industry. So what would be your advice to somebody coming new into this industry? That's my first question. What are the things that you've learned that they should be prepared for or get ready for, or what they need to exceed to really succeed?
Okay. And that's a good question, you know, and I thought about that, and having made a lot of the mistakes as an entrepreneur for over 30 years, um, my my best advice is to have a plan, get a mentor, and pay for good advice. Those are my three nuggets. You know, you have a plan on what you want to do. We're in a niche world. So, you know, to go in and just say, I'm going to plan meetings, you want to find a niche that's authentic to you, that you enjoy doing. Life is short, do something you love to do. Get a mentor, somebody that will educate you and teach you, or go to work for a firm where you can learn what you want to learn in order to start your own company. And then, of course, pay for good advice. Pay an attorney, pay a CPA to set up your business properly. This save you a lot of aggravation, a lot of pain.
And then what about, you have to deal with a lot of personalities and challenges, right? Look, you had to go through COVID. Your business obviously had to deal with that. You might be old enough maybe to have been through the Great Recession. Don't know. I think maybe you are. So, what is your lesson about dealing with the challenges in your business?
It's always the people. So, I carried my team through, supported them through COVID, and they brought me out of it. So, I invested in my people, I treat them well, and they are my company. That's my advice. That's how I made it through. And they did a great job and they've championed through, and I'm super proud of them.
Well, that reminds me of the story of Texas Roadhouse. I don't know whether you know the story. I don't even think, yeah, I don't know whether there are any in New York, but it's a great story. The owner during COVID, he kept all his employees, but there were no restaurants open, right? So it was costing him an arm and a leg. Well, guess what happened? Father's Day, everything opened up in Texas. He was the only restaurant chain open because he had kept his employees. It was all ready, boy. Everyone put their aprons on and let's get to work, right?
Yeah.
So, it really paid off. And same with WD-40, the famous manufacturing company. They didn't lay anybody off and they ripped it like unbelievable when the market came back. So Jackie, your last perspective, we've really been exploring this industry in a way that's pretty revolutionary, it seems to me. Why? We're focusing on two things that I don't hear a lot talked about. One, Darlene started with that, ROI. Let's get serious. How are we creating value? And then secondly, really shaking up the formats. You know a lot of people, Jackie. Do you think the industry's ready to meet this demand? Is part of the problem that the industry is so used to what they've been doing that one of the problems is they don't know what to do. They don't know how to shake it up. Do we possibly have a talent challenge that there are a lot of people that are still old school and want to go back to the opposite 80-20 rule, 80% in an auditorium. And that's easy to do, right, Darlene?
Yes.
Boy, if you do that rule, get some panelists, get some speakers, check, next, do the lunches, the coffee breaks, and you're done, right? But Jackie, it's a lot of work to choreograph something that's 80-20 the other way. Do you think the industry's ready to do that?
I think the industry needs to change with the time. And I just want to say a little bit about Darlene, because since I've been working with her and got to know her and Janessa and her team, and not because we're on this podcast, she thinks out of the box. She's not just a meeting planner that somebody hires and cooks it and books it. She gets deep down and dirty with what's going on in the industry, not just that company. What's going on in the industry? How can I make this different? How can I make this a better meeting? Not just this year, next year. And she doesn't just book entertainment or book a speaker. She's the first person to book Nick Santamatasso from me for the real estate meeting I told you about, we talked about last week. And she steps out of the box for her client and gives them the ROI. She gives them the experience. She lives it, she sleeps it, she drinks it. I've never worked with a more hard-working meeting planner and more creative. And I respect her totally. If I was having a big meeting, she'd be who I hired.
Wow, thank you, Jackie, that's amazing. And I couldn't do it without you. So with
We're a
your
good team.
amazing connections, your amazing skill and your amazing people skills to help us get the right people and the right message, I'm forever grateful.
Well, thank you both. I'm very grateful because this is a headliner. I'm serious. Darlene, headline. It's 20-80-20 rule, flip it on its, side and focus on value creation, measure that value creation. Those are two big headlines in and of themselves. So Darlene, I can't thank you enough. Everybody, you've obviously learned more about T3 Meetings Group through Darlene. Thanks again. And Jackie, always for all your help finding the talent that is
Thank
making this
you.
channel
Thank you,
so
Darlene.
successful.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Bruce.